In our project, the validator class is only pretty much like a file where we continue adding static methods for the purposes of data conversions, a safe way of getting input from the user, and some ways to generate input values for the program. This in itself becomes a pretty useful class that we can copy to the next project and to the next project and continue using these static methods because all of them can be very convenient in other situations in our future projects. Class such as validator is important and sometimes is called utility class, which is designed as a library of independent but pretty useful static methods like we have already. And they're easy to call anywhere inside of our program. Just refer to the validator class as a placeholder using dot or period here to access the static method defined inside this class, and whatever the parameter list is requiring, you just pass it in and you get your result back. As an example, we can add another method to the validator class and call it getRandomInteger. So let's try this. We'll say it's a public static method that returns an integer, and I call it getRandomInt, and the parameters will be integer from, integer to. Two integers will be our parameters. For now, in order to be able to compile it, I'll just say return 0. Okay, so return 0 is just makes it possible to compile this program without complaints that this method's supposed to return an integer but does not have a return statement. So this is just a technicality to begin with, and it's just an unfinished version of this method, but the compiler will be able to compile this code. So therefore we could do something like this, again very similar test, and say integer random, right? So we want to have a random integer, and we want to call this new method getRandomInteger from our validator class, and we'll specify a range such as from 5 to 10. For instance, right? So right now, of course, these variables are not used. It's just going to return a 0, but we can print the result, and just a demonstration how easy it is to add another static method to our code. So formally, a method in Java is made of a method name. Okay, so typically I begin looking at the method name because it tells me a little bit about the purpose of this method. And then parameter list. Okay, so this is our parameter list. Parameters placed on the list are separated by comma, but the list can be empty. Right? You don't have to have specific parameters. It could be one parameter, it could be many parameters, or it could be just an empty list of parameters. This is all okay. And then this is followed by the body of the method, so which begins with an opening curly brace and a closing curly brace. And to the left-hand side of the method name, we must provide a type of the value, like this right here, the type of the value that the method returns to its caller, also known as return value. So if the return type is void, sometimes we can have a void return type, the method does not return anything. All other return types, such as string or integer or a double, specify that the caller will get the corresponding return value, like right here. We return something from this method call, and over here as well we're just returning something back from the method call. And the mechanism to return from the method is to use the return statement and specify some sort of expression or variable name or hard-coded value, doesn't matter. Somehow the return type just has to match the specified type of this method. Now, in front of the entire method name and return type, we have what we call method modifiers. So the modifiers are placed at the beginning of a method definition. So altogether, this is called method definition because we're trying to provide method name, parameter list, and the body of the method specifying what it's trying to do. And so here, once again, these are method modifiers, which are Java keywords, and they specify how this method is supposed to fit in with the rest of the class in which it's placed and with the rest of application. For instance, this public modifier allows to use a method anywhere in the program. So here we decided to call these methods from our main method, and we don't have any problems doing it because it was declared public, which means accessible. It's okay to go ahead and make a call. Now, on the other hand, I've used private keyword to define my scanner, my static scanner object, as private. And so the private method or variable can be used only inside the class where it was declared. So basically, private says that it's okay to use this reference to the scanner that we create at the beginning of our program. It's okay to use it inside this class. However, if I try to access it somewhere in our main method or anywhere else in the program outside of this class, this will be not allowed, and there will be an error saying that this scanner is a private object, so therefore you don't have the right to access it. However, all methods inside the class are okay to use it any way they want. So a typical method like this getRandomInt will compute some value, in our case compute a random value in range from 2, right? And I suppose that we will include from 2 into the range of the generated values.